love every song. And really, when you're listening to a record, obviously, you're kind of in it for the full experience. When I put on a record, I'm not gonna get up and skip a song, pick up the needle and move it to the next thing. So I have to love everything that's gonna play. I thought it might be kind of interesting if I told you the vibe of each record and my favorite song from each record. And I could talk for hours about this, but I will try to be concise when I'm talking about each record. The first record that I want to share with you is by the band Rhye. R-H-Y-E. I would describe the vibe of this record as a hot summer night. The sun's going down, all of your windows are open, and there's a breeze through your house, and you're drinking a glass of wine. That's the vibe of this. My favorite song on this record is Beautiful. 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 If I'm feeling like a sultry kind of summer night vibe. Next up is Hozier, the debut album, self-titled. I feel like everyone knows this record. Comment below if you've never listened to it. What I really love about this record is the way it blends rock, blues, folk together in a way where the whole album is super cohesive, but every song kind of has its own flavor. I would say the vibe of this record is driving on dirt roads in a truck that kind of smells like diesel, and you can't tell if it's gonna rain or not, but it's nighttime. That's the vibes. My favorite song on this record, that's hard to pick because, like I said, every song is really unique. It's more the way that they all come together that I love. So this whole album is like my favorite song. But if I had to pick one, actually I'm gonna pick two. It would be Work Song, or It Will Come Back. Work Song to me sounds the way Falling in Love feels. And It Will Come Back just sounds like a gritty, swampy, true blues another band where I feel like the artistry, the craft of the musicians is incredible. If you've ever listened to isolated tracks on a Radiohead song, you really hear how much they've got going on. And when I'm listening to a whole record, that's what I want to do. I want to I'm tuned in, I'm locked in. When I put vinyl on, it's with the intention of listening to the record being the main event. For that reason, I love Radiohead, but I especially love this album, In Rainbows. The vibe of this record is a winter night. You've got a fire going and candles. You're either with someone you love or you're missing someone you love. That's the vibe of In Rainbows. This is another one where it's hard to pick just one. So I'm gonna pick two. The song Nude, N-U-D-E. Nude. And All I Need. All I Need and Nude are my two favorite songs on this record. Next up is Interpol. Turn on the Bright Lights. This is a winter night in New York City. You're walking around, you're on the subway, and this is what's playing. It's haunting, it's energetic, it's a lot like Radiohead in that each song is super complex. If you're listening to isolated tracks, I'll say Interpol doesn't generally follow like traditional song structure, or if they do, it's like with a twist, and it makes it really exciting to listen to their songs. I would say, this is another one where it's hard to pick one. Roland is one of my favorites, and NYC is another favorite off of this one. But literally every song on this album is incredible, and no skips ever on this record. Truly so good. You know, it was my bad for waiting until the afternoon to film because my dog is now unwilling to hold still and she's just walking around messing with all the cats. There's gonna be a lot of background noise to try and edit around in this one. We're gonna keep calm and carry on with the next record, which is Jeff Buckley, Grace. This record is a whole vibe. It's like, this is another nighttime album. The vibe is your indie rocker boyfriend tells you he wants to play a song for you that he wrote. In like the best way and the worst way of that. Do you know what I mean? Jeff Buckley's vocals are wild to listen to. This is another really interesting songwriting style, and I think that the song Everyone Knows by Jeff Buckley and off of this album is Hallelujah, which is the reason that I bought the album. But really, there's There's so many other amazing songs on this one. Hallelujah is my favorite, but So Real, So Real is an incredible song that I love as well. This record came out in 1994 and it sounds like it. So if you're wanting like a blast from the past, I'd give this one a try. And the next album is Violator. Violator by Depeche Mode. This record sounds like a nightclub. Sweaty bodies. Hot people dancing. And it's just cool. You've got like a sick leather jacket on, your favorite sunglasses, and you're walking down the street feeling hot and powerful. That's this record. I would say that my favorite song on this record, I mean, it has to be Enjoy the Silence, but Policy of Truth is another great song, and so is World in My Eyes. Actually, just every single song on this. Every song on this record is so good. I have to keep saying that because that's why I bought it. I have to like every song to buy the record. Okay, so like why is every single record that I have a male singer? It is what it is, I guess. I went through a phase where I was buying a lot of records. We had a record store by us where we used to live in Seattle. And so I was buying records a lot more frequently when we were living there. And apparently I was in like a male lead sort of phase. I would say my Spotify these days is a lot more women-centric. So I think I need to do some record shopping to get more women in the mix here. Bon Iver. Bon Iver. This song is driving in the daytime with the snow everywhere. All you can see is white. Like liminal space kind of vibes. I put this record on when I really just want to zone out. It's very atmospheric and big. It sounds big and wide open. My favorite song on this record is In Nome, Texas. To me, this is in the seasonal depression in the middle of winter is like at its peak. I put this record on a lot. It's a little sad. So if you're looking for something to like really get in your feelings, this is a great one for that. Next record I have here is Diaper Island by Chad Van Galen. This is an indie artist on the Sub Pop record label, or at least he was. It's one guy who does everything. He produces all of his own records. He plays all the instruments, writes all the songs, and there's something so beautiful, folky but raw, like a little edgier. And the vibe of this record is because this is what would be playing there. Just, it's like the vibe. Every single song on this record is amazing. But Shave My Pussy, Heavy Stones, and Sarah, I think are my favorite. I need to re-listen to this. I was super into Chad Van Galen when I was in college. Really got into his discography. And I saw him live in Seattle before the pandemic. And I haven't really been listening to him very much, so I think I need to get back into that. But I love this record. I think this and Infinite Heart are my favorite records of his. Like, play them on loop, on repeat, all the time. This whole thing is very Pacific Northwest coded. I think he's Canadian. If you want a Pacific Northwest playlist on a rainy day, Chad Van Galen's your man. Next up is Elliott Smith's album, Roman Candle. In high school, had a hyperfixation moment on Elliott Smith. I've done the deep dive in everything. The vibe of this record is making out in a car when it's cold outside. You're like fogging up the windows because it's like snowy and cold outside, and you're making out with the heater on in the car. And you're so in love with the person that you're making out with. That's the vibe of Elliott Smith in general. But Roman Candle specifically, the title track, Roman Candle, is really good. But there's a track at the very end of this called Kiwi Mad Dog 2020. There's no lyrics. It's just instrumental. And something about it just hits so right. It's also music. The vibe of Orca is you're walking. The sun feels really good and warm on you. You're not walking to anywhere, you're just kind of walking. You're just moving without any real goal other than just movement. And you feel infinite. I would say Medicine is the first song off of this album that I heard. And I found it at a time where I really needed to hear what that song had to say. And my other favorite songs on here are First Aid and Posthumous. I really love this album. I kind of fell off of listening to Gus's music after this album, but I know he's put out some stuff since then. It just didn't click with me the same way that his earlier stuff did. So I'm still a massive fan, but I'm not following along as close as I used to be. Now, those are just some of my records. I have a lot, including some older ones that my dad gave me from his collection. But in the interest of not having this video be 7,000 years long, I just wanted to focus on some of the newer ones that I bought for myself. I realized after making this video that I really need to buy more records with women in them. And also, everyone on there really was white. So that's another thing that I will be working on fixing moving forward. I hope that you're doing well and taking care of yourself. And I have really appreciated just